9.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. These are the top stories we're tracking. Chris Ram says Exxon's 2020 financial statements are vague and not in keeping with international standards. House thief attempted to rape student on second break-in. Cops turn up unprepared. Ali approaches Islamic Development Bank for aid to support farmers and strengthen national drainage system. Meanwhile, 18-year-old who thought he killed his brother hangs himself. Bumblebee knifed to death after abusing reputed wife. Lowenfield and Myers and Domingo sent on leave as GCOM considers motion for their dismissal. And coalition used $30 billion Gaisuco bond to repay lenders. Nation stuck with servicing high interest rate, says Finance Minister. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Citizens are being reminded to continue observing the COVID-19 guidelines by practicing social distancing, good hand hygiene, wearing a mask when out in public, and reporting promptly any illness to your nearest health facility. If you or your family member experiences any fever, coughing, vomiting, diarrhea, skin rash, cuts, sticks, bruises, or other conditions, seek medical attention immediately. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation and other outpatient departments in the respective areas are fully operational and equipped to provide adequate care. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health on 223-9705 or 223-9713.
And now for the news in detail. After reviewing the 2020 financial statements of ExxonMobil's subsidiary, Esso, the largest of three partners in the Starbuck block, chartered accountant Christopher Ram said he could only describe it as vague and certainly not in keeping with international financial reporting standards. In his most recent writings, Ram first pointed out that one ought to bear in mind that Esso is the operator of the Starbuck block, as it holds a 45% working interest and is therefore charged with conducting day-to-day activities. He noted, however, that this crucial or fundamental point was not even acknowledged by Esso in its financial statements. It was also not recognized by Esso's other partners on the block, Hess Guyana Exploration Limited and CNOOC Petroleum Guyana, in their 2020 financial statements. In other news, Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, revealed that the APNU-AFC coalition was using proceeds from a syndicated bond for Gaisuco to repay the same lenders that provided it. The bond was secured by NISL in March of 2018, while the coalition was in power. It was announced back then by the ex-boss of NISL, Colvin Heath London, that the company was successful in securing $30 billion syndicated bond to revitalize Gaisuco. NISL had used its assets as collateral to secure the amount from the lender. Dr. Singh said that out of the full amount, NISL had drawn down a total of $17.5 billion as a net trustee fee of $121 million. He had also detailed that to date, a total of $5.125 billion has been repaid to the lender, and noted that when his government entered office in August 2020, it had discovered an quote-unquote astonishing situation in terms of repaying the bond holders. And now let's tell you, two medical students, ages 23 and 24, are deeply concerned about their safety after a house thief attempted to rape one of them during his second break-in at their Castello housing scheme apartment. It is understood that reports were made at the East La Penitence outpost about the two incidents. Following the first report, the victim said the cops showed up unprepared to do a preliminary investigation, while adding that a follow-up was never done after the second report. The first incident occurred less than 1 week after the victims moved into their new two-bedroom apartment when the 24-year-old realized her laptop, television set, was missing. Last Friday, a second report was made after there was a break-in and an attempted rape at the same apartment at 4 hours. This time, the incident occurred when the 23-year-old roommate was home alone. Despite making subsequent reports, the assurances by the police that a follow-up would be done are yet to be honored. Meanwhile, the students are living in fear that the suspect is walking free and may return soon. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio, and this is your news at noon. Let's tell you that yesterday, Dr. Irfan Ali met virtually with the president of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Bandar Hajar, and his team to discuss intervention measures and the bank's support in the wake of the recent floods across Guyana. The head of state raised the need for aid to farmers to restore their productive capacity, support for drainage and irrigation initiatives, and further strengthening of the national drainage system. Discussions also centered on assistance for the affected hinterland and riverine communities. These areas, the president explained, depend predominantly on the mining and forestry sectors. Other critical interventions identified were the restoration of river dams, hinterland roads, and bridges, many of which were destroyed and remain submerged. And moving on, an 18-year-old man who thought he had dealt his brother a fatal blow to the head hung himself on Father's Day. We understand that the deceased and his brother were having a drink at their home for Father's Day when an argument ensued. It is alleged that the deceased hit his brother to the head with a piece of wood, after which he, the brother, fell to the ground in an unconscious state. Fearing that his brother may be dead, he ran to the backyard. In the meantime, efforts were being made to revive the injured brother, who subsequently regained consciousness. After noticing that the suspect had not returned, a search was made, and persons found that the 18-year-old had hung himself. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
The COVID-19 vaccine gives us hope for a healthier tomorrow. Have you received your shot yet? The Regional Health Services in Region 2 invite you to get vaxxed and get a chance to receive a COVAX hamper. A what? A COVAX hamper. When vaccinated, you will receive a coupon, and drawings will be done weekly at the Suddy Health Center and broadcast live on the Regional Health Services Facebook page on Sundays. Get vaccinated and get a chance to be one of 4 lucky winners of a COVAX hamper. Pomeroon Supernam, fighting COVID-19 for a safer region and safer Guyana.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. A 23-year-old man was stabbed to death on Sunday after allegedly abusing his 26-year-old reputed wife. Dead is Junior Singh, also known as Bumblebee. The incident occurred at 12 hours 30 at Blackwater Landing area, Kuru Brongbak Dam in Region 8. On the day in question, the man had begun verbally abusing the suspect after he was imbibing. They went to their room, where a physical altercation ensued between the two. The woman then stabbed the deceased to his left side chest with a knife. The police were summoned to the scene, and the suspect is currently in custody, assisting with investigations. In other news, GCAM has unanimously decided to send on annual leave CEO Keith Lowenfield and Deputy CEO Roxanne Myers and Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo, pending the outcome of discussions on a motion seeking their dismissal. The 3 officials, who are currently before the court on charges related to electoral fraud, were cited for a series of grave violations connected to the March 2020 elections and for their defiance of the instructions by the GCAM chair Claudette Singh, who instructed that the recount figures be used for the final results of the elections. The decision to instruct the officers to proceed on annual leave followed a statutory meeting of GCOM commissioners, which was held yesterday. According to a statement disseminated by the Commission, a decision was taken at the meeting for the 3 officers to proceed on leave with effect from Monday, June 28, 2021. And moving on, the Washer Pond Road in Linden, in the vicinity of GRA, was closed to vehicular traffic yesterday at 1 p.m. for 1 week as roadworks are being carried out by the Ministry of Public Works. Chairman of Region 10, Daron James, stated that a letter was written directly to the Minister of Public Works, Juan Edgel, requesting that emergency work be done on a number of roads in the region. Adams said that he is happy that approval was given to begin the road works in the area where the general offices are located, and hopes that the team working on the road will do so to the best of their ability. It is understood that the Washer Pond Road will remain closed for 1 week and all traffic will be delivered along another, which was recently rehabilitated. And moving on, we have been able to confirm with investigators that the 10 Haitians who had been found last Thursday in the Swiss hotel located at Skelden, Berbice, are all adults. The group consisted of 5 females and 5 males, all of whom had claimed they were all juveniles. Police have also received vital information which supports the theory that the Haitians are indeed victims of human trafficking. In fact, sources revealed that the investigators have been able to identify a suspect who they believe is the mastermind behind the trafficking ring. The Haitians had related that they were brought from neighboring Suriname via speedboat and were left at a hotel on Monday, June 14th. They are currently in the custody of the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection and are being housed at the Hugo Chavez Center for Rehabilitation and Reintegration. And at this time, we now move on to our COVID-19 update. The Ministry of Health yesterday announced that 3 persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. The latest fatalities are that of a 48-year-old man from Region 4, a 74-year-old woman from Region 10, and a 32-year-old woman from Region 9. Guyana's COVID-19 death toll now moves to 452. 90 new cases were recorded, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 19,234. 21 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 106 persons are in institutional isolation, 1,414 are in home isolation, and 7 are in institutional quarantine. To date, 17,241 persons have since recovered from the virus. From Monday to yesterday, a total of 66 persons have recovered. And on that note, we now head over to the page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. The Agri-Minister said this flooding is worse than the one from 2005. We agree. The President said that this is a national disaster. Again, we agree. But when they go to beg for billions to bail us out of the floods, we cannot agree. We will never agree to that. When we have all this wealth and are giving all of it freely or secretly to Exxon and others, we can have our own rainy day fund, with no need for borrowing billions, of which no Guyanese knows how many billions and on what terms. All we know is that we are doing bad all over, and the one blessing we have to give us a way forward is being squandered by leaders in bad deals and worse, indebtedness. When will our leaders get some sense, face reality, be honest with themselves and Guyanese? And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
It is now 12 hours 19 in Guyana.